Welcome back to the Nash Potatoes Outdoor Show. Today I've got a video for you discussing my experience at the Wellness Way. If you're not familiar with the Wellness Way, they're described as a network of health restoration clinics that think and act differently to solve the health challenges others can't. I first learned about the Wellness Way on a YouTube video that I was watching on the Real Alex Clark's YouTube channel. Dr. Patrick Flynn was on discussing how important it is to manage your hormones, and he is the founder of the Wellness Way. And I was really impressed by what they had to say, and I always kind of kept it in the back of my mind. So when my symptoms began to flare up a bit, I had just finished building my house in Blanca, Colorado. I was extremely stressed out. I was super tired. Had no will to live, really bad brain fog, no sex drive, anxiety, anger, irritability. And I discovered that there was a location up in Colorado Springs, which is 2.5 hours north of where I'm at. So I was really excited to check out their whole system and see what kind of solutions they might be able to offer me. But that excitement quickly waned as the costs began to add up. As you can see, there's a ton of fees from the office visits and some chiropractic adjustments. They had a credit card fee, lab tests, and endless supplements. I was being treated for 7 months, and my total costs were just over $6,200, which in my mind is quite high. Obviously, this is not covered by insurance. Let me quickly tell you what their plan of attack is at the Wellness Way. On day one, you get some x-rays and they try to talk you into getting some chiropractic adjustments. Then you get a blood test to discover if you have any food allergies. And then you take a 3-day stool test to see how your gut health is. Then once your food allergy test results come back in, they will give you a food education, helping you to eat the right foods and stay away from the wrong foods. This was about a 60-minute visit. They give you a pack of information, which is 57 pages. It's quite overwhelming, to be honest with you. Then they begin you on a supplement regimen and potentially some chiropractic adjustments. The supplements change every month as you come in for your next visit, and I'll show you what that looks like here in just a bit. Then once you're on the supplements for a while, I think I was on supplements for 4.5 months, then you do another 3-day stool test, which is quite expensive. As you could see, it's right around $380 or something like that, and see if your gut health has improved at all. And that's kind of where I ended my treatment because my results were not good. But if I were to go on further, then they would test my hormones, I think through a blood test, and revise my supplement schedule based on those results. So this is what my x-rays look like on day one. I was doing the chiropractic adjustments, even though I've never really believed in the science. I thought it was worth a shot. Ended up being, I don't want to say a scam, but it's, $65 for 10 minutes. It is what it is. I don't know if I saw any improvement or not. It's hard to tell. They try to tell you to come back more and more and more. And it's all about getting you to come in as often as possible for these adjustments. So my food allergy test looks like this. The stuff in red is what I'm allergic to. And the higher the number, the worse it is on my body. So let me go through some of the foods that I would typically eat or drink. Coffee was on there, cranberries, pistachios, oats, black pepper, black tea, tomatoes. And then the biggest ones for me were the brewer's yeast and baker's yeast. So no, I could no longer do beer or bread. So that was a little bit challenging, but this part of the treatment plan is all about getting you to stop eating the wrong foods. All right, now let's look at my 3-day stool test results. This is the first test that I took. And if you look down at the bottom, the maldigestion is 0, and 0 basically means that you don't need any help. Inflammation was 0, so I basically don't need any help. And then if you go over to the infection on the right, then that was good as well. But according to this test, my dysbiosis was a 5 and my metabolic imbalance was an 8. An 8 is really bad. And then there were further metrics beyond just this first page, but it gets to be so overwhelming that I just wanted to show you the summary page here. So once you get the x-rays done and get a few tests done, now they come up with this consultation plan for you. And if you pay as you go, it's more expensive. As you can see, it's $2,950. Or you can prepay the entire program and save $750. And you get 10% off your supplements. So what they're trying to do is get you locked into the program, obviously, since they're offering you such a sizable discount. So this is kind of what the food education package looks like. As I mentioned, it's 57 pages. It's really overwhelming. But what they're trying to do here is to get you to start eating the right foods and help support your gut health. This is what the supplement schedule looks like. The one on the left is from February and the one on the right is March. But as you can see, it's quite extensive. Some of these supplements are really expensive. The most expensive one was the Golden Seal, which is just a small bottle, a small liquid bottle, cost $130. And these supplements taste horrible. Most of them taste so bad that I assumed for sure they were working, because anything that tastes that bad must definitely be super effective. All right, so I was on these supplements for 4.5 months, and then he wanted me to get my stool tested again. And this 3-day stool test is no fun. Sorting through your own feces is nothing that anybody should look forward to, but I wanted to go through my results here step at a time. As you can see, my maldigestion on the first test was perfect, and on my retest was actually got worse somehow. It was now a 7, which means that it's a high need for support. My inflammation went from 0 to 6. Once again, 0 meaning everything is good, 6 meaning there's a moderate need for support. The dysbiosis went from 5 to 4, meaning that it got just a little bit better. The metabolic imbalance stayed at an 8, which means that it didn't improve at all. And my infection stayed at a 0, meaning that it didn't get worse anyway. So this is where I started to get really discouraged, because I've been going to the clinic for 7 months, spent $6,200, took supplements for 4.5 months, and somehow my gut health got worse. So through the entire program, I followed the diet recommendations about 95%. And I wanted to give you an idea as to what my typical diet would look like. My breakfast was typically an egg sandwich with sourdough bread. I found a yeast-free sourdough bread that I could eat. Butter, eggs, bacon, cheese, and then I would do some sweet potato slices, because the doctor said the sweet potatoes would increase my testosterone. And since I couldn't do coffee, I was drinking mushroom matcha for my beverage. I typically don't do lunch, but if I do lunch, it's typically like a protein bar or a banana. And then for dinner, I would have a burger with sourdough bread, beef patty, cheese. Sauerkraut is a fermented food, which is supposed to improve your gut health. Mayonnaise, mustard, pickles, and cottage cheese are also supposed to be fermented. And then I would do some type of vegetable, either carrots or green beans, something along those lines. And then after dinner, a lot of times I would drink one of these seltzers that you see on the screen. as well as a handful of cashews and some kefir, which is a fermented beverage that's supposed to improve your gut health. So one of the reasons that the doctor gave me that my gut health did not improve, actually got worse, is that he was thinking that potentially the seltzer I was drinking contained a yeast. He thought that maybe they used some type of yeast for the carbonation. I don't know if that's true or not. Very interesting theory anyway. He kind of gave me a hard time because I wasn't eating the sourdough bread that was in this food packet. The Young Cobras is what he was recommending. I don't know where you would even get that. I think what he doesn't understand is that this food consultation package is so hard to follow because if you followed it to the T, it would be so expensive. Eating the free-range eggs and, the beef has to be a certain way, the turkey has to be a certain way. And I just don't know how anybody can afford, after spending $6,200 at the clinic, to be special ordering bread and going to natural grocers for all the meat and eggs and stuff like that. The treatment plan is so overly complicated, and I think there's a reason for that. I'll talk about that here in just a second. I think that my biggest pet peeve was not only did my gut health get worse, but my final progress report is what you see on the screen right here. I told him that my depression was bad, and I basically hated life in general. And at the bottom there, you can see that I had really bad suicidal thoughts the month before my visit. And he didn't even discuss this during my visit, didn't even ask me about it. It was all about how closely am I following the food recommendations. And I told him that I was following them 95% as per the usual. And he wanted to know what was my weakness. And I told him that I would have 1 cup of coffee on Saturday and 1 bowl of oatmeal on Saturday, because I just can't eat egg sandwiches every day of the week. And all he wanted to focus on was, why am I eating oatmeal and why am I drinking coffee? He kind of wants to put the blame on me for my gut health not getting better. Another issue that was at the forefront of our discussions is that I take kratom on a regular basis. I take it for energy and mental clarity and to help with my depression and anxiety. And even though the doctor clearly didn't know much about it, he wanted me to stop taking it altogether. And every time I came in, he was asking me, did you stop taking the kratom? And the reason I know he doesn't know much about it is because the research he was doing was on Microsoft Bing. While I was in the office, he would Google kratom side effects and show it to me as if that was supposed to convince me to stop taking it. Pretty much everybody in the community knows that most of the information online is misinformation. But anyway, that's all I'll say about that. He was so focused on me getting to stop taking this, even though I've had nothing but good results from taking it. So now I wanted to quickly kind of summarize everything that I have discussed here. As I mentioned, I was being treated for 7 months, and I took supplements for 4.5 months. As I mentioned, the liquid supplements tasted horrible, so I assumed that they would work for sure. I was eating a ton of fermented foods because the doctor encouraged that. For sure, that was supposed to help my gut health. I was taking miso paste and sauerkraut, sour cream, cottage cheese, and kefir. And for some reason, it didn't seem to help in my case. Health insurance doesn't cover any of these fees. The Golden Seal was $130. Their credit card fee started at 3%, went up to 4%, which kind of annoys me a little bit because their fees are already so high. The chiropractic adjustment was $65 for a 10-minute adjustment. And when they didn't have supplements in stock, they would have to ship them to me. And shipping was typically around $11. One of the most discouraging things was that no effort was ever good enough. I was intermittent fasting for 17 hours a day, and he wanted to know why I couldn't fast for 18 hours. He wanted to know why I couldn't get more chiropractic adjustments, thinking that maybe I could find a guy locally. Even though I followed the food recommendations 95%, he was only concerned about that 5%. Why couldn't I stop the coffee and the oatmeal and the kratom? So in my mind, they make the treatment plan so impossible to follow so that they actually have an excuse when it doesn't work. It's my fault because I wasn't following it 100%. When you come into the clinic, I feel like they know you're desperate and they kind of take advantage of that. They get you locked into this prepay program because it's such a huge discount. I mean, who wouldn't take advantage of that? In my case, they did a really good job at pretending to care at first, but for some reason my service tended to decline with each visit. And a perfect example of this is, why didn't he ask me about the depression that I listed on my progress report? So the Wellness Way is a franchise with about 50 locations across the United States, and I know that your experience is going to vary depending on which clinic you go to, which doctor you go and see. But in my case, it would just be really nice if somebody would reach out to me from corporate, because I really feel like I've been ripped off. I spent $6,200 and my gut health got worse. And I took these disgusting supplements for 4.5 months, followed a pretty strict diet, and I just feel like I am owed some answers or some resolution, or some type of solution would be nice. So maybe Dr. Patrick Flynn will see this and hopefully reach out to me. But I just wanted to get this video out there because I think people should be cautious before they start spending thousands of dollars on a solution that might not work. But anyway, that's all I've got for you today. Thanks for watching the Nash Potatoes Outdoor Show. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. We will see you next time.